That's your cue to die! Get it? Cue to die? Rack 'em!
Well, it's the Christmas season, and I just so happen to have gotten my hands on a certain game rather fitting of this theme. It's an attempt at a nostalgic Christmas-themed retread of an old classic, filled with crafting and zombie killing aplenty. But does it really hold up to the legacy? We'll see. This is Dead Rising 4.
That didn't sound good.
Dead Rising 4 uses the same visual style as the previous games, a realistic setting filled with rather goofy and unrealistic behavior. Essentially, the franchise is one massive parody of Dawn of the Dead with the mall and everything. This game specifically, however, gives the world a big Christmas theme as the Willamette Mall from Dead Rising 1 makes a return alongside the entire town of Willamette itself. This also means the soundtrack leans heavy into the Christmas mall / radio music that I think most of us are familiar with the same songs repeating over and over again. This is all well and good. In fact, the game looks nice and the music is fitting. The problem lies in the technical side. For a good hour or two of play, I noticed that the game chugged like crazy and the sound would desync from the visuals constantly. After testing a few different things, I found out that if you want to get rid of most of these issues, you have to 1. Go into your task manager and set the Dead Rising 4.exe task priority to high, and 2. Unless you have a very beefy computer, do not keep the zombie quality on high. Keep it on medium, or in my case, because I was playing it safe, low. That many highly detailed bodies covering the screen at once can be pretty taxing on your computer if you're not careful. Once that was done, the game ran much smoother for me, although there was still the occasional stutter or freeze here and there. So, now that the game is stable, let's actually get into what the game has to offer us.
Look at that. Wow. What was that?
The story sees Frank West, the photojournalist from the first Dead Rising, returning to Willamette after an FBI agent informs him that the town has seen yet another outbreak, and he thinks Frank is one of the only people who will be able to help. Frank is initially very against this idea due to the past experience he's had with zombie outbreaks until he's informed that one of his university students, Vic, has decided to go and get the story herself, at which point he goes intending on stopping her and getting the evidence out himself. As the story progresses, it's revealed to us that the government has, yet again, created a new strain of zombie virus for their own nefarious purposes, and it's created not only another outbreak, but new kinds of more intelligent zombies that throw the entire situation into disarray. And now Frank has to deal with a paramilitary group called Obscurus trying to maintain the cover-up, as well as the growing population of smart zombies that more or less guide the horde. Now, here's my problem. The plot itself isn't bad. It's fine, it's serviceable. It's really the only way I can imagine the story continuing without just repeating itself completely. But it's Frank that I have a problem with. Frank is horribly inconsistent. At some points in the story, he cares about Vic and a few select other survivors. Other times, he doesn't care about anyone other than getting the evidence. Sometimes Frank is just tired of all this and wants to leave. And other times, he's smack-talking like it's the first game all over again. I feel like the developers wanted to do something new with Frank. In the beginning, they set him up as having some strong PTSD, having notably more aggressive reactions when someone mentions getting him involved in zombie stories again. But once he's in it, he just reverts back to the Frank from the first game with maybe a few more old man jokes thrown in. There was definitely potential to do something with Frank's character here and the story as a whole, but I think the devs bit off more than they could chew, and so the whole thing just feels very mediocre.
What the shit?
They said that death once stalked these hills. A man accused, most gruesome kills. Now his soul lives on, as does his thirst to end, his darkening presence heralding Willamette's end.
Wow, that's not creepy.
The gameplay is mostly the same from the previous Dead Rising games. You search the environment for various weapons and healing items, combine weapons into stronger weapons, and fight through hordes of zombies with the occasional human maniacs. Except there's one thing that any Dead Rising fan will know is missing from this one: the timer. There's no clock or time limit in this game. In previous games, the timer was there to keep you invested in the story and encourage replayability, since you won't be able to save everyone or do everything in a single playthrough, and it kinda became synonymous with the franchise. I get why they removed it, trying to get new people into the game, but it's sad to see it go. They did add a few things here and there, such as vehicles becoming far more prominent since you're now in a whole town, and Obscurus brought along exosuits that you can kit yourself out with. The vehicles are cool, mostly just for riding through hordes and nothing else though. And while the exosuit is fun, I found it rarely showed up in natural gameplay. It appears a bunch during story missions and later boss fights, but in terms of just the open worlds, they're hard to find and they run out of power, so they don't last very long. The combo weapons are good, just as fun as one would expect from Dead Rising, but the boss fights? Well, most of them are really easy.
It's all about this with these guys.
Yeah, and who are these guys?
You are, Frank. Assuming you pay your taxes.
Say goodbye, Mr. West.
I am going to smoke you, Montana!
A lot of the times you can straight up break them either through sheer luck or bringing the right weapon along. And the side quest maniacs are cool, but not as interesting as the earlier games, which may just be a result of them aside from Tom being side content rather than actual characters in the story. Oh, yeah, and the camera. I hate the camera so much. I was fighting with it the whole time I played. This is both referencing the in-game camera as well as the investigation levels where you have to take out your little photo camera and take pictures of things in a room to advance the plot. It's a very boring break from the action every time, and the requirements to take the clue can be fidgety sometimes. But overall, the gameplay's fine, sometimes boring, the new things it tries out mostly fall flat, and it's really nothing special compared to previous titles.
The winter is deadly. It bites to the bone. Poor Frank has been naughty, and now he's alone. Welcome to my grotto, Frank West. Are you ready for a reckoning?
What the shit?
And that's really what I came away from this game with. It's alright, it plays fine, there are some technical problems that need fixing, but the game itself is very okay. I think the best way to describe Dead Rising 4 is wasted potential. There was a lot of new stuff they tried, but nothing felt like it really hit the mark, and overall it's very, very average. If you do choose to get it, you might have an alright time, but I would personally recommend getting Dead Rising 1 or 2 instead if you're interested in the franchise. They go on sale for like $5 a pop on Steam and they're much better experiences. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. Lastly, a special thank you shout out for my Patreon. With $5 a month pledge is cupping my nuts to protect them from the nut decoupler. Thank you for the $5.